infrastructure possibly come into this deal?
Well, obviously, this will be a big benefit over time. The company will pay taxes. People who find jobs there will be paying sales and income taxes they wouldn't have. And Gary will get, maybe the biggest thing is Gary, which is, of course, lost so much property tax base, and so many citizens will get a property taxpayer. So it's all the good.
Governor, obviously we are at the bottom of Lake Michigan, and anybody knows who has to drive across the country, you got to go through Northwest Indiana. That's one of the reasons that you have to wait at so many railroad crossings around here, is that if anything's going to go across the northern part of the country, it has to go through Northwest Indiana. This is a great announcement. CN bringing one of their main yards over this way, 250 new jobs. Can we become a transportation hub for not only Indiana, Illinois, the Midwest, but for the country?
I've always believed this, Jim, and yes, I think the answer is yes. I mean, this is mainly maintenance, locomotive maintenance, and so forth. But what you're talking about has always made sense to us. We've had a lot of conversations about a so-called multimodal facility in Northwest Indiana to relieve the clog conditions in Chicago, a place where trains could switch freight or switch from rail to truck. And I still believe we'll see one of those one day. We've been close a couple times. You and I have talked before about the possibilities for the Gary Airport. I still believe that that's potentially the single biggest step we can take there is get that thing on I'm going to say a different management plane and take advantage of its potential.
Governor, obviously one of the marketing slogans that's up along the Borman right now as we speak, Illinois at higher taxes. When you talk about CN basically moving some of their Markham operations over to Gary on this announcement that you just made, how much are you going into Illinois and saying, hey, why don't you guys come over here where the taxes are much more benign than they are in Illinois?
Well, we make no apologies for trying to bring jobs to Indiana, whether it's from overseas or dollars next door. And taxes is, it's a catchy phrase, and there's no question that we've got our taxes way below theirs now, but it isn't all. There's a lot of other costs of doing business that are more affordable in Indiana. And we just think that we take a more pro-growth, pro-jobs outlook than some other places do. We try to make it easy for people to hire Hoosiers, try to make it quick to get permits, all these things. And so, this is hardly the first. We're up in the teens now in terms of numbers of companies just this year who have chosen Indiana over Illinois. And, we think it's not only legit, but part of our assignment to create the best business climate we can, and then go tell people about it.
Governor, obviously we have the two big mills and the BP along the lake. We have a lot of attending other mills, a lot of railroad yards and so forth. When you talk about CN deciding to come over here to Gary, how much of a factor is it our highly skilled technical labor force?
Well, I think it is. I mean, I'm not saying Illinois doesn't have a similar asset, but I think that we certainly advertise it all the time, and I think companies see it that that the work will be done right if you do it in Indiana.
Now, the IEDC, they've been hard at work. What exactly do they do, and what's their role in attracting new business?
Right. Well, on my first day on the job, we abolished the state had its own bureaucracy called the Department of Commerce, and it didn't generate much commerce. So we thought we saw a better model, created the IEDC and Economic Development Corporation. It's a public-private corporation, so it gets state funds, but it also is able to go out and raise private funds, and it raises quite an amount. And that means that we're able to do things the state couldn't do before. We've hired a lot of really good business people, who been on the other side of the table and know how fast speed is, and know what potential new employers are looking for. They don't have any of the bureaucratic rules that used to hogtie the Department of Commerce bureaucrats. So they have broken a record every single year for new job commitments to the state. By the way, another thing, Jim, some folks ask, it's a good question, they ask about incentives. And part of the IADC's job is to drive the use of incentives down as far as they can. They've been cut by more than 3/4 the amount of temporary tax relief and training dollars that we offer companies for each new job.
So, Governor, but I guess in a way, lower taxes is really kind of the biggest incentive then that you're offering a lot of these folks.
Well, again, what we've proven, and the reason I bring up incentives and the fact that we cut them from $37,000 per job to about $9,000, is that by far the most important thing, unless you have a lousy environment, then you just have to try to give away the store if you're trying to get new employers. But by far the most important thing is what we talked about earlier, Jim. Have a positive business climate, a place where a company looks and says, if we invest in Indiana, we got a chance to get our money back, make a little extra. And that's everything from keeping workers' comp down to taxes, of course, to unemployment insurance, all the cost government places on every new job. And then being cooperative and friendly, as I said, about turning the questions around fast and making it easy for people to hire their neighbors.
Governor Mitch Daniels is on the phone right now. Once again, an announcement this morning. We don't have too many details on it. We'll leave that to CN to do that the rest of the day. But 250 new jobs coming to Gary in a CN yard, locomotive maintenance, and some other things. Governor, are we here in Indiana getting a reputation as being business friendly?
Oh yeah, we're at the top of every list. You can look them all up. All the business magazines, there are associations of the people. Our IADC works really closely with these site consultants. Businesses hire them to compare states, and they have their own ratings. We're always in the top 3, 4, 5. And as I said, at the end of the day, the cherry on the sundae may be a little temporary incentive, but we routinely win business in Indiana when some other state is offering more goodies up front, but the company looks past that and sees, over the course of 10 or 20 years, we got a better chance to succeed in Indiana. I don't know if you caught it, but Monaco, which had been one of our biggest RV manufacturers and closed up at Elkhart when the whole economy collapsed, just announced they're closing Oregon and moving their operations to Indiana. So here come 450 jobs back to northern Indiana, and it's all about business climate.
That's in Wakarusa, Indiana, and we're still trying to figure out where that is. Governor, if I can just veer you off 1 second on this. I know you got to go, but just your comments on the how the negotiations and how things went down in Washington during the debt ceiling issues that went down over the past couple of weeks.
Oh, I'm not as personally critical of the people involved as some folks seem prone to be. Folks I think out there that had their disagreements and they were sincere on both sides, and so you're going to have a long argument when that's the case. The answer I came up with is very partial. It's imperfect. I'd have been for it just because we need to move this thing ahead. It's only a first step, but it's the right direction. It starts with spending. Our problem in this country is we are spending money, and we have committed to spend money in the future that we will never have. We will plunder the young people of this country if we don't make some changes. And that doesn't mean that all that government and all those programs don't have good intentions and aren't worthy. It just means that you got to decide, as we have in Indiana, what's a must-do item, what's a nice-to-do item. And so it's just a first step. And I don't disagree with those who say it's very imperfect, but it starts on the right foot, the spending foot, and it sets up step 2. So, we ought to all start concentrating now on making sure step 2 is a longer and stronger one.
Thank you, Governor. I know you got to move on. Thank you so much for...
all right, Jim. Congratulations to everybody in Gary.
Thank you so much. Once again, thank you. Once again, if you missed the beginning of that, that was Governor Mitch Daniels, and he made an announcement just now of CN bringing their, facilities or some of their operations to Gary to redevelop the Kirkyards.